Screw your freedom.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
I love Mr. T. That dude is awesome. Shut your dang pie hole. Hey, it's a good time, folks. It is. Wait a minute. It's Valentine's Day. I guess I kind of messed up. I thought everyone understood I was going to try and do an afternoon thing, you know. But anyways, if you're here, surprise, you made it. And thank you, Jolene, for stepping in. I guess I need to communicate better or have my IQ checked. Certainly, I can't be as bad as the President of the United States, whom medical doctors are now calling for cognitive ability. Cognitive test. Is the man alive? Who knows what else? But it is Valentine's Day, folks. Sadly, I don't have a bunch of love for what's happening in the world. If you're here on YouTube, hit subscribe. Hit the like button. For all of you who are live right at this very minute on Patreon, welcome and get your questions in. It's going to be a unique show. It's kind of a surprise, apparently. I've been preparing for this since you saw me last on Friday. I've been sitting back, taking notes, looking at what's going on around the world, keeping track, you know, basically just being myself. But I want to welcome you all, and let's do it, folks. That's you guys, and I, we are the experiment. The experiment medically, politically, socially, financially, economically. We're the experiment. We're being experimented on. We may as well be rats in a cage or rats in a maze, always running, looking for that chunk of cheese. Well, there's pitfalls, right? Think of all the ways you could fool a rat in a rat maze, a rat run, a rat race, if you will. Right? There could be literal pitfalls, holes. There could be little prison bars that pop up. There could be other mean rats waiting around any corner to screw you over. There could be electrified floors. Who knows what's going on? But folks, just understand, you and I, as well as the rest of the world, it's not just preppers that are the experiment. We're all being experimented on. I strongly believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that. Happy Valentine's Day, and let's get to it. So let's start. You know, what is this experiment I'm talking about? Wait for it. Wait for it. No attack by Russia. I've got a couple of pieces on this I want to discuss. Folks, the U.S. is still watching very carefully for a Russian false flag. Can you believe that? Yeah, we're still waiting for it, folks. Wait for it. They're pushing that. Jake the Snake turdball of the Biden administration. I mean, can you believe these people? Listen, Jen Psaki, raggedy redhead of the White House, Peppermint Commie. She has been behind the scenes as a Democrat for years and years and years and years and years, long before Biden came about. It's not like they just hired her or dug her up somewhere. She's been a political mouthpiece and hack for years. This Jake the Snake guy, same story. We're getting rehash, reruns, and recycles. It's about the only thing the Democrats are good at is recycling their hacks. And they're here, folks. And they're recycling the false flag paradigm, trying to scare us. Oh, let's touch on that a little more. Right? I just wanted you to know, hey, there's a military political experiment going on out there. Will the American people buy this baloney story that the Russians are going to attack, or the Russians want to commit a false flag? The Russians are bad guys. But wait a minute, Russia's supplying us with our oil now in the United States, the most Russian oil ever. Russian uranium for nuclear power plants, most ever. We rely on the Russians for energy, just like Europe, but somehow they're the bad guys. Oh, Putin. Oh, man. I can't wait to see what this guy does next. Not because I want the United States to fail, but because I want the stupidity, the abject, moronic stupidity of the political left, the World Socialist, World Economic Forum dunderheads, I want them exposed for being what they are. Now, this is stunning, folks. This is unbelievable. Except after it has hit the fan, after 2 years of this nonsense, everything is actually believable, but it's still stunning, right? Another whistleblower comes forward, folks. Another whistleblower. How many do we have to have? Whistleblowers in medicine, in politics, whistleblowers in the world of satire, everyone, folks. This whistleblower released a recording. It's revealing that doctors are refusing to take care of horses. Read between the lines, if you will. Patients, veterinary patients, horses in horse hospitals, they're not getting the treatment that they should get. And the owners of these horses are having to smuggle horse paste into the hospital because hospitals and many doctors are still refusing to properly treat people, instead following veterinary guidelines that have been proven to not work. This is unbelievable. Poor horsies, poor human beings, poor everybody. We're all being experimented on. You want more? Oh, wait for it. I've got more. You want to talk about a political experiment? The black-faced hypocrite and liar, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And when I say blackface, I don't mean he's black. I mean he wore black makeup, pretended to be an Arab or something in a costume party. And while I don't have a problem with it, I couldn't care less. Right? If a white person dresses as a white person, a black person, any other, what do I care? But the political left, these wokehards out there, they want us to believe that's wrong and bad and you should have your life destroyed. Well, this guy is the Prime Minister of Canada wearing blackface. What a jackass. Anyways, this jackass, hypocrite and liar that he is going to invoke never before used in the country of Canada, never before used the Emergency Powers Act. He's going to use it to do what? Well, to stop an insurrection, of course. Well, it's a freedom convoy. You see, it's not Black Lives Matter. It's not anti-fascist. It's people wanting their freedom back, the freedom convoy. And we can't have that. So the Emergency Powers Act, which was originally created to deal with foreign invasion, foreign insurrection, foreign whatever, emergencies, real emergencies like military mega emergencies. That's what emergency powers are supposed to do, folks. Deal with emergencies, not deal with the people of the country. Well, they're gonna absolutely try and smash and destroy the freedom convoy, the truckers, the farmers, the cowboys. Guess what? Lock all the truckers up. Lock all the farmers up. Lock all of the cowboys up and see how hard Canada crashes. Right? Now, don't you think that the government of Canada ought to be doing something a little more important? Like up there, they have really limited amount of guns, right? Because, you know, guns are evil. Well, guess what? You think the government would have been better off monitoring a truckload of guns than screwing around with destroying people's rights and then trying to stop legitimate protests? Yeah, a truckload, folks. More than 2,000 guns have been stolen in Canada, folks, in Peterborough, Ontario. That's right. Good job, Canada. Good job, government. There's now a stolen load of guns on the streets. I'm sure it wasn't law-abiding citizens that stole those guns. I'm sure it was a criminal element. But you were too busy putting cops out there to steal fuel, steal firewood from truckers, protesters, people, freedom-loving people. Folks, you and I, we're the experiment. They're playing games with us. I have some shit that's going to blow your mind. Happy Valentine's Day. Get this, folks. Follow this quote. What effing research? We are the effing research, right? A grieving widow has gone off on social media because her husband died with myocarditis. Folks, you and I are the experiment. All of us out here. Here I am in Studio A of the Prepared Mind channel, aka Uman's back office. Studio A. And I want you to hear this about this guy, this man that died, okay? He died of lymphocytic myocarditis. And they say it's a rare form of myocarditis that can result in hospitalization for acute care. It occurs when white blood cells, known as lymphocytes, enter and cause inflammation of the heart muscle. The condition can occur after a virus. The official finding of this man's autopsy states that his entire heart was fully attacked for multiple months. It was damaged top to bottom. Folks, while Hillary, Democrat governors, Biden, Gates, and the World Economic Forum all love what's happened, it's become obvious to me that the experts who predicted short, mid, and long-term dangers and risks have been proven correct. That's right, folks. Be sure and listen to the little booster rooster. He knows what's best for us all. They've been proven correct now, folks, and they're going to continue to be proven correct. Strokes, hemorrhaging, inflamed and enlarged heart, cardiac arrest, right? Neurological disorders, seizures, brain bleeding. How do you like that? How's that for good medicine? Immune system weakening and failure, AIDS-like symptoms. All of that, folks, the cerveza bug that Sweden and many countries have said is no worse than any other annual winter bug. But you know, is it worth it? Is the risk worth it? How many people's hearts are being chewed up from the inside out by this ineffective and unsafe Kool-Aid concoction? Right now, as we speak, people are being chewed apart, ripped apart from the inside. Who's going to accept responsibility or the blame for what has been said, what has been demanded, for the... This tears me up, folks. The coercion and duress, right, that has caused all this damage and loss, right? Will Trudeau up in Canada accept the blame since people were told they must volunteer? That's right, folks. It's voluntary. Otherwise, they wouldn't just say, well, we're going to take away your privileges, right? So they're voluntarily forcing people. They must volunteer or lose their jobs, homes, and families. Will Biden or Dr. Booster Rooster, will they accept responsibility for all of the damage and loss? Folks, we can't sweep this under the rug. You and I are the experiments. The evil is out of the bottle, folks, and it's not a good gin, right? It's out of the bottle, and we will all continue to witness the destruction that is chewing people to pieces, and our nations will all suffer in the coming months and years. Hey, Biden did this. Biden did it. The Democrats did it. They're pushing all of these experiments on us, the financial, military, social, educational, medicinal, military. Everything's a big experiment to them to see how we react, to see what happens, to see how they benefit from it. Is that really what we want for ourselves and our kids? No, but it's not about what you and I want, folks. The rats in the rat race and the rat maze and the rat cage, we don't get to decide what the experiment is. We're the subjects of these experiments. I want to remind everyone, though. I want to remind everyone, please go to, I'm going to find it here. It needs to be redone, okay? It needs to be talked about again. There's the website. You click on a button, one button push, and it sends an email out to all of our elected ding-dongs in DC, right? It's very important. I've asked Jolene to continue to post it, and I'm looking for it right here. It should be right here, and I can't find it. This is awful. This is terrible. Jolene, you know what I'm talking about. Here it is. Got it. Pow. The website, folks, is alignact.com. ALIGNACT.com. As in align. We all need to be aligned. Act, as in prep to action. Alignact.com. We need that covered on Patreon. We need that covered on Facebook. We need it on the club. We need it all. There it is right there, a clickable link. Jolene, you're the best. You kick ass, folks. We need to keep posting this address right there. Good job. Good job. We need that. You fill out the information, you register, and it sends off a pile of emails to everybody telling them to knock this crap off. This stuff that I just went over, folks, right? We're the experiment. There's no research supporting anything that this is going to work well, folks. If there's anything, there's hidden research that showed how dangerous things have become. But the experiment is more than just medical, folks. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, get this, folks, they asked some owners of some very large construction equipment, some big excavators, they asked them to move the vehicles so they wouldn't be visible from the highway. The owners of these pieces of equipment obliged them, and then police went to work. Yeah, damaging these vehicles, including cutting electrical and control cables, putting expandable foam inside the vehicles, causing additional damage. Folks, the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, their media representatives have confirmed that they were behind this damage. Folks, what's the difference between the RCMP and criminals and Antifa or terrorists? Sounds like they're all well-trained and funded to do their jobs, folks. Because what is it that terrorists do? Literal terrorists threaten violence. They destroy property, and they have a political agenda. That's what terrorists do, and terrorism is. Scaring people, damaging property, damaging lives for a political purpose. Nice jihad against freedom, Canadian government. Trespass on private property, sabotage heavy equipment. This is what they're up to, folks. And we're supposed to just accept this? Oh, that's fine. Go ahead, do what you want. You're the government. You're all powerful. Unbelievable, folks. You want more experiment? You want more? You want more, you say? President Xi Biden, he is brilliantly handling the Ukraine deal. He's out front. He's taking charge. He's a leader. The world respects him. No, wait a minute. None of that is true. All they have done is said, they may invade Ukraine. They could have a false flag anytime now. Waiting. Well, Biden has basically given up, and he is now sending the First Lady of BJs. That's right, the Vice President, Kamala Harris. He's sending her over to Germany to deal with the Ukrainian crisis. What, because world leaders like and respect Kamala? What, because Kamala is a foreign policy genius? Folks, we have seen time and again that she completely screws up meeting with foreign dignitaries that either come to the U.S. or like when she went down into South Central America and Mexico, just looked like an idiot in front of many world leaders who fucking trolled her. right? She insults everyone she meets with condescension, and she disgusts everyone with her ignorance of reality. Don't forget, she also bailed out and encouraged Antifa in the United States of America to commit grievous acts. That is, continue peacefully protesting, which included burning, looting, and murdering. I'm sure the Ukrainians will just love her, folks. Don't you think the Germans, the Ukrainians, Europeans are just going to fall all over themselves to try and please Queen Kamala? I don't think so. No. I do not think so, folks. But guess what? Guess what, folks? They've kind of given away what's going on. Kamala, she can't fix anything, right? This is incredible. Nancy Pelosi went on George Stephanopoulos' channel, show, whatever, this weekend, and said this, quote, well, I think we have to be prepared for it, meaning a Russian invasion, and that's what the president is. Yes, I do believe that he prepared for an invasion. I also understand why the president of Ukraine wants to keep people calm and that he wants his economy not to suffer. But on the other hand, if we were not threatening the sanctions against Russia and the rest, it would guarantee that Putin would invade. Let's hope that diplomacy works. This is asinine. Let's hope that diplomacy works. Because if Biden wasn't threatening sanctions, then it's guaranteed that Putin would invade. Really? Unbelievable. And everyone in Ukraine is calm, folks, calm. In other words, they're not worried about war or invasion in Ukraine. They're all calm. Even though they're way over there where the action's at, they're all calm because the president wants to keep people calm there. The president of Ukraine is doing a great job keeping everyone calm because Biden is threatening Putin and Russia to keep them from invading. Absolutely phenomenal thinking on these part, right? On this lady's part. This is Nancy Pelosi, by the way, telling the world, right? She says it's about diplomacy and deterrence. Diplomacy, deterrence. And the president's made it very clear. I love how they always tell us how the president or some other political jackass makes things very clear, right? Quote, there's a big price to pay for Russia to go there, meaning go to Ukraine. So if Russia doesn't invade, I'm putting the emphasis, the smart-ass satirical emphasis. So if Russia doesn't invade, it's not that he never intended to. It's just that the sanctions worked. The big tough talk from Biden worked. The saber rattling and threats and bullshit worked. Way to go, Joe Biden. Nancy finishes up with, I'm very proud of the work that the president has done. It's all smoke and mirrors, folks. It's all bullshit. It's plastic banana, good time, rock and roll, Persian bazaar crap. Period. And we're supposed to believe this? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. I mean, I don't like you and me, our kids, our country being experimented on. Look at this, folks. Johnson & Johnson, who made one of the Jim Jones juice formulas, has quietly shut down its production of Jim Jones juice. Reportedly, folks, they're making other medications for something completely different that'll be more profitable. Really more profitable than something that the president has forced the entire country, or at least threatened to, and other presidents and other foreign leaders have forced people to take. Whoo, yeah, you know, read my lips, right? I have an immune system that works. I will pass, folks. I'll pass on all that they are trying to shove down our throat. This is unbelievable where they're going, folks. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan, right? For your world, wherever it's at, your world, right in the middle of it's you, and there's this 10-mile radius around it. It is those people in that 10-mile radius that are most shall we say, threatening to us all. Most threatening. I have an interview tomorrow with an interesting individual. And then he will come on our show and do an interview as well. He just tried phone calling me while I'm doing the broadcast. Folks, we're going to continue to do interesting interviews. I've got some great people lined up for you. But today it's a holiday, and I've already interrupted Jolene's romantic evening. Sorry, Jolene. And Uman too. Uman had all kinds of fun and romance, I'm sure, all lined up. This is terrible. Terrible that they're doing this to us and that we can't just take a couple of days off. If we take a couple of days off, it's like we'll fall behind. It'd be like, holy cow. I mean, as it is, folks, I still have probably another 24 topics to talk about, but it is live Q&A coming from you guys. You guys get the second half of the hour. I get the first half. You guys get the second half. So let's do this. Let me continue, and then we're going to get to your questions. Get your questions into Jolene. And I've got to tell you about this, folks, this experiment that's being conducted. This is important. This pisses me off what's going on. There is now another, folks. It's not like this is rare. These are just the ones we're hearing about. These are just the ones that I am trying to bring to your attention. There's another 15-year-old young man who is fighting for his life because he collapsed during a basketball game. This kid is a star. He looks to be just a young gentleman, right? Supposed to be wrapped up in all kinds of sports. I mean, when you see, just sometimes you see a picture of someone and they're an honest to goodness good person. You can just see it, right? This kid is now fighting for his life, collapsed during a basketball game. Yeah, there were 2 last week. Now is another one, folks. And guess, just take a guess, right? This is the 3rd male high school student we've reported on in a week as having collapsed during a game. Folks, this never used to happen. Now it's global. Young men in their 20s, men in their 30s, athletes everywhere, folks, basketball, soccer, tennis. Any doubts? Any doubts about what has affected this kid and his health? Take a guess, right? Oh, folks, yeah, I did say basketball, soccer, huh? But not the NFL. Why is no one in the NFL keeling over? I'm going to take a wild guess, folks, that they didn't really take the Jim Jones juice, suspecting what other athletes, right, is happening to them, not wanting to take a chance and saying, hey, look, you shut down the league or you let us skip it, right? I'm going to call this new disease sudden super athlete cardiac arrest syndrome, right? I'm not an expert, folks. I'm not a medical person, but it certainly seems like there is a sudden super athlete cardiac arrest syndrome that's going on. This kid's a super athlete. I think he's in hockey, basketball, lacrosse. He's in all kinds of sports and shit. Incredible, folks. Surely for this sudden super athlete cardiac arrest syndrome, surely the real experts in the world of medicine can give us a nice BS reason for this new phenomena. For the rest of us, we don't get to talk about it. We don't get to say nothing. We just get to shut up, right? Shut our pie holes. They're the experts.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Hey, Mr. T, I'll shut my pie hole. Let's wait for the experts to tell us, right? And let me ask this question. Why isn't the Black community outraged to learn their star pupils, their star youth and athletes are dropping like experimental lab rats? Maybe they're outraged and maybe they're being ignored by the mainstream media. Maybe they're being paid to be silent with nice globalist bribes. Geez, is that possible these days? You know the truth. No. You know the truth, right? You can guess what is happening to these athletes, whether they're in their teens or their 20s or 30s. You can guess And you can guess how these powerful people are getting away with it all. Unbelievable. Okay, and I'm back. You can just take a wild guess. I don't have to tell you 2-3 times. You know what's causing this. You know that they're lying about it. That's right, folks. I guess the Kool-Aid recipes just aren't trustworthy anymore. I tell you what, I've got all the stuff I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Jolene, are you ready? Are we ready to line up some topics that are going to blow everyone's mind? Oh, you bet, folks. And I'm not just saying that. I want to hear what you're thinking. We had a big weekend. Super Bowl Sunday was yesterday. I caught a few of the highlights. I know what happened there. I know enough, right? What did you see? What have you heard? What's going on in the world? What do you want to talk about? Let's get to the Q&A.
Are you ready?
Here we go. It's the Prepared Mind channel, and you guys become the star. You get to direct the content. You get to direct the subjects. You get to start conversations that are going to help other people because you're going to share the address, the internet address, with other people, right? Even you Patreon people, I want you to share what you can with everyone. If you double click on Patreon and it goes to a super secret hidden YouTube page, share that with people. I want it out there. And I want people to come to Patreon to support what we're doing. I get just incredible emails and messages from people all the time. People that go to PayPal and make a donation and they leave a great message, a message of hope for us as patriots, as Americans, as free people around the world, that our message is getting out, that people are waking up, that they're now happy and proud to be who they are, and they don't feel like they have to take a bunch of crap off the government and other people because we have rejected their lies and reaffirmed our love of our own tradition, laws, culture, and beliefs. All right, we got Latin American Preps. He checks in and he says, Super Bowl was the likely reason for no Sunday Night Live, right? There were several defensive penalties on several consecutive plays late in the fourth quarter on last Rams scoring drive. Was there manipulation? Okay. Number one, yeah, the Super Bowl is why I didn't do Sunday Night Live. And then normally I just kick it forward to Monday, but it's Valentine's Day. So we kicked Sunday Night Live to a special Tuesday night presentation. So, right, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to do a Tuesday Sunday Night Live. Now, as far as the Super Bowl, how can anyone actually manipulate and affect the outcome? Now, in boxing, you got two guys punching each other. You tell one guy to drop his guard, drops his guard hand, and in comes the hook, and he goes to sleep. The fewer athletes on the field or in the arena, if you will, the easier it is to manipulate. Now, football, on the other hand, quite a bit trickier. You got a lot of guys on each side, got a lot of refs, and you got tens of thousands of people watching. Still, can things be manipulated? Well, you could say, yeah, they can. There have been some egregious games in the past where the referees absolutely violated the rules, made up rules. My favorite, of course, of all time is the tuck rule in the NFC Championship, where Oakland went to Boston to battle the New England Patriots, and they created a new rule called the tuck rule, so that Tom Brady, who is the greatest of all time, undoubtedly still, but at this time, he was thwarted, and I said, that's it. Sports is fixed. The fix is in when one play can change an entire game, and yeah, but really, it's just a game. But there are some incredible lessons that I think that these professional sports teach us. And this is where I wanted to go with this Latin American preparedness, is the people who are supposed to be in charge, like the referees of the game. That's our judges, our government out here in the world. They're supposed to play by the rules and make sure everyone else plays by the rules. The referees and officials in a football game are required to do certain things. They're supposed to act, perform, to make the game go smoothly. Out here, government's supposed to do the same thing. They're supposed to act and perform at certain times to fulfill certain requirements, obligations, and duties so that we, the players, get to live our lives. Instead, folks, you and I are the experiment. This is not a game in the sense that it's a fair competition, that we get to be prosperous and live our lives. Instead, it's a rat race. And we're all in the maze and we're all being run around. And yes, manipulation changes the outcome. A little hot poker in the ass here, a little noxious gas there, and you make the correct turns to play their game, their rules. They can ignore the rules. They can change the rules, make up rules. You bet. They love that crap. All right, Jolene, she's moving me along with Doc Holliday, guns and the Second Amendment. This is what he has to say. The communist Trudeau government tried to get GoFundMe to give the Canadian trucker convoy money to Black Lives Matter, reported by Sky News Australia. Woo! Yeah. The Canadian government, which is headed by that little social communist fascist pile of crap, Prime Minister, blackface lying hypocrite Justin Trudeau, who hid in his house or some bunker somewhere because horns scare him, right? Yeah, he tried to get them. The Canadian government has shown itself to be an incredibly disgusting, an absolutely disgusting example of what governments are doing these days. To take money given for a patriot movement, they wanted and asked it to be given to another organization, BLM, which, folks, murdered policemen, murdered citizens, committed the act of looting and arson and assault and battery and theft. And that's who Justin Trudeau wanted the money given to. That's who the Canadian government wanted the money given to. So GoFundMe got in all kinds of trouble, did they not, when this was exposed? And the governor of, I think, Florida and the governor of Missouri and possibly several other states now have decided they're going to investigate and hopefully prosecute GoFundMe for fraud. For fraud. Big time. I hope so. Thank you, Sky News Australia. Folks, Sky News Australia does an interesting and very fascinating job. Too bad Australia is being absolutely butt-hammered. The people of Australia being butt-hammered and treated like rats with no rights. Folks, in medical experiments and scientific experiments, there are very strict rules regarding experimenting on animals, whether they're mice or rats or monkeys or dogs or cats or whatever they're doing it with. There's very strict rules on what they can and can't do and how it has to be done for whatever medical or other scientific and experimental purpose. It's very much regulated. What are the rules for experimenting on you and I? What are the rules for experimenting on Canadians and Australians and New Zealanders and English and Scotch and Irish and everyone in Europe? What are the rules for experimenting on humans? Well, the rules are actually rules, folks. They're in the Nuremberg Code. They've been codified. That is, put in a set of rule books, the Nuremberg Code. Rules for experimenting. You cannot force or coerce, use duress, lies to trick people into doing something they don't want to do. Yet they're doing it, folks. You and I are the experiment. Our countries, our economies, our worlds are being experimented on, ripped apart by none other than the World Economic Forum, the George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates. Who else, folks? All of these rich and powerful elite bastards. They've got no problem doing to you whatever they want. Governments have sanctioned it. Oh, you bet. They've sanctioned the hell out of it, have they not? They can do whatever they want. No one's getting in trouble. I find out, right? One of my sons is forced, tricked, coerced, and then has a problem. I think I'm going to find out who is most responsible and make them pay. You know, legally, lawfully, with the court system. Because that really always gets the job done, does it not? Righty. Yeah, I hope the people that know what they've done out there are really paying attention, because I think there's going to be hell to pay at some point. Are you prepared, folks? Food shortages, gas shortages, power issues, medical issues, supplies. How about the FBI? How about everything that's going wrong in this country? Woo! Okay, let's see what else you got out there, folks. I've got all kinds of fun stuff I want to talk about, but Uman has this statement. He says, the new strategy, I love Uman, he's fucking awesome. Uman says, the new strategy seems to be shaming the trucker convoy participants. Radio was interviewing Ottawa libtards who were saying, convoy people are embarrassing themselves, should be ashamed of themselves, making a laughing stock out of themselves. They might actually work on all these polite Canadians. Jolene, go back to the beginning, the first part of Uman's statement here. This is incredible. I want to go back. The new strategy is shaming them. Oh, I love that. That is a great control technique because it's psychological. Remember, folks, this is an information war. They keep information from you so you only get what they want you to know. It is a psychological war, and they control the communications. Here we are, folks. The psychology of shame, the psychology of guilt, the psychology of social and peer pressure. Oh my God, everyone is laughing at you. You're making a fool of yourself. You're embarrassing your country. You know what's frickin' embarrassing? Is the fact that the country of Canada, the government, Justin Trudeau, shut down the country, destroyed jobs, businesses, lives, people, has coerced and used duress to force people to take an experimental Jim Jones juice, a concoction, Kool-Aid. People are dying, lives are ruined. And they want to say that if you oppose their restrictions on your liberties, your freedom, your life, if you oppose them for all the destruction they're causing, all of the threats and coercion, everything they've done wrong, if you oppose them, you should be ashamed and embarrassed. Folks, the government should be embarrassed. The government should be ashamed of itself, and the government should be held liable legally. That's who should have shame, folks. Oh, you're hurting us. But I've heard the other part, Uman, is you guys are causing all kinds of financial trouble and damage. Folks, you know who's complaining? The corporations are complaining, not the people. The corporations are complaining that they can't do business, that they can't sell their auto parts. Yeah, hey, they've already jacked up the auto industry. What's another week or 2 weeks? They shut everything down for years, and now they want to complain that the people have shut things down on their own. They didn't ask the government to do it. The government did it on their own for 2 years. They've interfered with and screwed with businesses and people's lives. But now if the people take control, make their own decisions for themselves, and disrupt the business of corporations, corporations complain, and all of a sudden Justin Trudeau wants everyone to behave. The government should be embarrassed. These corporations, folks, I guess, know no shame. Justin Trudeau knows no shame. And they have no mercy, folks. They couldn't give a rat's ass, right? You are the experiment, not them. They are the masters and not you. That's what they think. right? So they want to shame participants. They want to blame them for causing economic damage. Folks, all the government of Canada has to do, all that Trudeau and all of the provincial leaders have to do is remove all restrictions on the rights of the people. Remove all BS mandates, remove all BS regulations, get rid of any of these masking requirements, and leave the people alone and let them be free like they were 2 years ago. And promise never to do that shit again. That's all the government has to do. And the truckers would gladly get in their trucks and drive back home. They would unblock everything. Instead, the government lied. And folks, it's not just Canada. It's every government out here in the world has been coerced and shamed into obeying the booster rooster and all his BS, or you could say his chicken S. Oh man, fucking fires me up every time, folks, right? But the Canadian convoy, I want everyone to understand it's had a profound effect. And I want the Canadians to stand up for their rights and not go home and not quit, to get back out there and block this shit again. That's what I think would be absolutely fabulous. Folks, in France, they now have a freedom convoy and it's entered Paris and police are firing tear gas at them, at the demonstrators. Fight, 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 fight back peacefully and politically, right? The people are chanting QR code never again. What's that mean? QR code, folks, is a code that you're given, a password, a passcode that says you have gotten your Jim Jones juice and therefore you can act like a free citizen. Remember Macron, who is the French version of that little Justin Trudeau turd. Trudeau. Macron in France, their president, has said that for those who are unjuicinated, those who refuse the rooster booster, he's going to piss them off. He's going to do all he can to aggravate and annoy them. Well, the French are standing up for themselves. Folks, this is not a bunch of radical communists asking for a communist country. These are people who want their rights and liberties respected. Are you prepared? Do you see how bad this is going to get? Instead of backing off and accepting the people and their rights and respecting the law, Trudeau, Macron, and other leaders have instead chosen to use the police, the people's representatives in law enforcement, against the people themselves. And these idiot policemen are stupid enough to actually listen to the government and harm the people that they know. Unbelievable that police choose the side of authoritarianism. Tells me that the ones that do, not the ones that don't, but the ones that do enforce authoritarian BS are themselves Ken authoritarian scumbags. And that they just love seeing people hurt. They love thinking they're part of the experimenters. When folks understand this, law enforcement who disobey what they know to be right, they are part of the experiment also. The leaders are going, let's see if we can turn the people against the people using law enforcement. Let's divide and conquer all these rats in our big rat experiment. You're going to get people to rat each other out, get people to attack each other, get people to hate each other, get the rat police to attack the rat patrons. It's incredible. And they're sitting up in their ivory towers, folks, behind cement walls, steel barricades, electric fences with machine gun protection and watching what they're doing and how the people react. And they're like, that was interesting watching what the people did when we screwed them this way, or we stuck it to them that way, or we screwed them over all over the place. I'm sure they're having a freaking heyday, laughing their asses off, going, let's try some more experiments. Let's screw with them psychologically some more. Let's tell them how they're going to be free and then take it away again. Great stuff. Okay, Jolene, what do we got? I'm on a rampage today. Mark, the prepared Klingon, says, what is your thought on Christians in China pastors are being arrested, churches forced closed. Talk about freedom of speech. It soon be criminal. Okay, China is economically, China is a social fascist nation. That is to say, corporations are allowed to benefit and profit as long as they pay their tithings or their taxes to the Chinese Communist government. So it's a fascist economic system, but it is still a political communist system. And in communist nations, the government, be they Chinese or Soviet or some other version of communist, the government is the God. The government of communist nations do not accept that there is a God. Because if there's a God, then there is an authority higher than the government. And that is why communist government does not accept church. They don't accept a God. And so when they feel threatened, they'll go after different religious peoples. As far as Christians in China, yeah, Christianity, folks, or the belief in an all-powerful God above and beyond church and state, that there's an actual God, is what inspired and prompted the great patriots of colonial America. That's right, those veritable white male philosophers who said, you know what? Let's give freedom a chance. Let's see how that works out. And it got freedom. And governments around the world ever since then, folks, the more tyrannical, the more they've recognized that freedom of religion, freedom of religious expression, freedom of speech, the right to proclaim your religion or your politics, if that is greater than government, or the government can't stop it, guess what? Governments don't like that. So they get rid of them when they become threatened. They attack them. They close churches. They arrest parishioners. They punish them. They charge them huge amounts of tax. They do all kinds of things, folks, to get rid of churches, right? You know, and some things are just fundamental. They're simple to understand, fundamental. And if they're done properly, they work. And if they're not done properly, they don't work. Religion and freedom of speech is one of those things. It promotes freedom. It creates prosperity. You take that away and a political system becomes tyrannical and it's crashed. There's a retired 3-star general, folks, retired Marine Corps Lieutenant General Greg Newbold. He said that critical race theory is leading to military failure. He argued, right, in some released papers, that critical race theory and related ideologies run counter to the, quote, stone cold pragmatism that's needed to win military conflicts. In other words, he's pointed out that they have changed some fundamental ways that military needs to be run in order for it to be successful. Now, he referred to it as stone cold pragmatism. That definitely sounds like Marine Corps talk to me, right? In other words, there's a way to do it, and everything else that's tried fails. You want to be a fighting force that wins, which is exactly what a military is supposed to be, then you need to be, right, on target. You don't play around with systems like that. And they're doing it, which tells me they know they're doing it on purpose. They're trying to destroy everything. They're trying to. The same way Justin Trudeau in Canada, folks, is doing everything he can to be the opposite of what he should. Even left-wing lunatic, and I quoted him last week, Bill Mayer. Bill Mayer has again spoken up, and he's basically ripped Justin Trudeau. He says, now you do sound like Hitler. When a left-wing free speech advocate like Bill Mayer, because Bill wants to do his job. He can't do his job if he's silenced, and he sees the risk that censoring people, silencing people has. I think Bill Mayer may remember or recognize that Hitler silenced all opposition and then jailed them, and then concentration camps, and then death squads. So he's looking at what Justin Trudeau is doing and saying and says, now you do sound like Hitler. That's the danger we're facing. Jolene, have we got anyone else on the board, or am I going to be turned loose to cover some more of the topics that I want? We got Jay Clifton. I answered that one real quick. John, I grew up on a 2,200-acre horse ranch in Central California, Contra Costa. It never got that deep. The horse shit we're swimming in. Contra Costa County, folks, is between Sacramento and the Bay Area. It is considered East Bay, if you will, Contra Costa. Let me see if I can let you know, Jay, where that's at. You got Antioch, Pittsburgh, you got Walnut Creek, Concord, you got Martinez. I know all about Contra Costa County. Yeah. It is deep. The shit is run deep, folks. Sadly, right? They haven't given us any stilts. There's no way out of this. We've got to go through it. SHTF. We got Ronan66 says, just a research thought. Lithium is not just used in electric car batteries, but also cordless power tools, all kinds of rechargeable items. It's harder to find than gold. When the whole world is operating on batteries, who will be able to afford equipment with lithium? Will the existing power grid be able to handle all this equipment being recharged? Okay, you ask the big question about power, Ronan. Right now in the world of technology, they're trying to come up with better batteries. The quest for batteries is every bit as important as the quest for more electricity. Let's start with batteries. This is a topic I've spent a lot of time with Crispy Bacon of the Crispy Bacon channel. Crispy Bacon and I have spent a lot of time in the background talking about mining, metals, money, electricity, power, and batteries. Silver batteries, nickel cadmium batteries, lithium batteries, other types of batteries, or shall we say power cells, energy cells. It's a problem, right? Metals and important metals are becoming more rare and more difficult. It was quite interesting that Afghanistan is lithium rich. And so lithium mining companies were pretty happy to be over there after, the Taliban were smooshed. But I have a funny feeling that all of that was handed over to China. That's right. The Taliban got control of the country and began instantly working with China. And I'm sure somebody, the big guy, got his 10%. So lithium is important, but there's a lot more battery technology out there than just lithium or nickel cadmium. There's going to be better battery technologies coming out. They're working on it right now, how to do it, multiple companies. It's going to be interesting. Now, the other part of that is, well, how do you charge all of these batteries? If you power tools, automobiles, bicycles, scooters, if everything becomes electrified, how are we going to create the power? Well, number one, the power infrastructure, that is the wires, substations. The infrastructure isn't big enough to support all of the energy that is used with liquid fuels like diesel and gasoline, liquid natural gas, LNG or propane, liquid gas. That's a lot of energy out there that shows up in bulk form, in raw form, but they're trying to get rid of that. They want to get rid of that nasty carbon, right, that exists in the world. Carbon is plant food, by the way. Plants love carbon. Anyways, it's interesting. Here we are. How do we create more power if they're saying all the ways that we make power are dirty? Well, Europe has decided that they're going to say that natural gas is clean. It's green, even though it is only 40% as dirty as coal. Coal, folks, imagine those big smokestacks roiling out black smoke. Natural gas is 40% as dirty. So they're about half as dirty, meaning just because you don't see that carbon in the form of big black soot, it's still pumping out incredible amounts of carbon. But But they want to claim, because there is a shortage of power, they need to claim that that's green because they've screwed up royally, folks. They don't know how to replace the energy needs as they drive and push to go to more electric. Let's see. Cold fusion, not available, not working. They keep saying it's going to happen. Wind and solar, not working, not capable. Plus, there's no battery to store that power for use at night when there's no sun. And in fact, the wind speeds have slowed down enough. Slowed enough. Isn't that interesting? How does wind slow down that much? How is that even possible? That the planet's wind slows. I guess things are cyclical. So sometimes you'll have more, sometimes less, but there's not enough, regardless, folks. But they just opened a nuclear power plant in Finland, and it will produce as much power in 1 year as all the windmills in the Netherlands will over the next 50. Every windmill in the Netherlands combined for 50 years won't make as much power as this nuclear power plant can in one. What is the most economical, non-carbon producing, safer than any other energy source? Right? Which one is that's nuclear, folks. That's uranium. But it takes years or decades to build a nuclear power plant. And they are the safest now. I've done my research and looked at it. According to the experts, according to the science, it's the safest. But it takes years and years and years and years. They're coming up with new technology, SMR technology. If there's any problem with any of these power plants, they just automatically shut down and go into safe mode. It's very interesting, folks. But they're trying to relabel that as green. But regardless, and this is the key point, is it's going to take years to build these power plants, whether or not they're nuclear. There's not going to be enough wind and solar. Don't worry, that'll fail. Coal and natural gas, we got some problems there. And it takes nuclear a long damn time to build these plants. They always take longer than they say, and they always go over budget because, you know, government is so efficient. So we're going to have energy shortages here in America, even if they made all the right normal government decisions and we didn't have some sort of doggy pet love having weirdo fruitcake in charge of the nuclear power system under Biden. Unbelievably stupid what is being done to this country. You need to be prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. We need to get active. Prep to action. Start taking action. Get on that list. Jolene, thank you again for putting up the alignact.com, ALIGNACT.com, and get the word out. That is a fabulous way to fill out one form, hit the send button, and it goes out to hundreds of politicians. We need more of that, folks. Phone calls, texts, let everyone know. Thank you again. That's just to defund the Jim Jones juice mandates. That company, alignact.com, needs to make one of these for the Second Amendment Pro. They need to make one for free speech, period. You guys, I've gone long. I'll be back tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, regular Sunday Night Live time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So it'll be a later broadcast, but it'll be the Sunday Night Live Tuesday version, 2 hours, super chats, questions, drinks, and unbelievable discussions about the world we live in now. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed. Semper Fi.